The world is watching with bated breath as a new and dramatic economic conflict unfolds between two global giants, the European Union and China. For years, these two powers have been deeply intertwined as major trading partners, carefully balancing cooperation with underlying competition. But now, that delicate relationship has sharply deteriorated, giving way to open confrontation. Recent events have sent shockwaves through the global economy, rattling investors and hinting at a much colder era of international relations. The EU, citing what it calls unfair trade practices and growing security concerns, has imposed significant sanctions against China, specifically targeting the technology and manufacturing sectors that are central to China's economic ambitions. This move marked a decisive shift from years of cautious engagement to a more defensive and assertive European posture. China's response was swift and calculated. It abruptly canceled a massive order for 150,000 electric vehicles from European manufacturers, sending shockwaves through the industry. This was a strategic blow, striking directly at Europe's vital automotive sector and threatening thousands of jobs. The message from Beijing was unmistakable. China has the power to inflict real economic pain when its interests are threatened. This tit-for-tat escalation has created deep uncertainty about the future of global trade, with ripple effects felt far beyond Europe and China. Companies that once relied on open, predictable markets now face serious questions about the reliability and stability of their international partners. This standoff is more than just a dispute between two economic blocs. It's a critical test for the very idea of globalization itself. The world must now grapple with the possibility of a future where economic interdependence can be weaponized, turning friends into rivals overnight. Tools that once fueled prosperity are now being transformed into instruments of conflict and leverage. The stakes are incredibly high, and the outcome of this standoff could fundamentally reshape the global economic order for years to come. The EU-China standoff is not just a headline, it's the beginning of a new and uncertain era in international relations. To truly understand China's response to recent developments, we first need to take a closer look at the European Union's actions and motivations. The EU's sanctions didn't appear overnight, they were the result of years of mounting concerns over what many in Europe see as unfair competition and heavy state subsidies that give Chinese firms an edge. In response, the EU specifically targeted high-tech sectors, with a sharp focus on electric vehicles, imposing higher tariffs and new restrictions on certain Chinese technology companies entering the European market. The main goal was clear: level the playing field for European businesses and protect vital industries from being undercut. Yet beneath these economic measures lay deeper geopolitical anxieties. Increasingly, China is viewed not just as a trading partner, but as a systemic rival challenging Europe's strategic interests. Europe is now actively working to reduce its dependency on China for critical goods, ranging from battery materials to essential pharmaceuticals, aiming to secure its own supply chains. These sanctions send a strong message. Europe is willing to absorb short-term economic pain in pursuit of greater strategic autonomy and long-term security. The timing couldn't be more significant, as the global auto industry undergoes a major shift toward electric vehicles, reshaping the competitive landscape. With billions of euros being invested in innovation and production, the EU is determined to protect its stake and leadership in the ongoing EV revolution. However, this protective move did not go unanswered. It provoked a swift and powerful retaliation from China, escalating tensions further. Now the stage is set for a dramatic escalation, with both sides preparing for a prolonged and high-stakes standoff that could reshape global trade. China's response was a masterclass in targeted economic statecraft. Instead of a broad tariff war, Beijing canceled 150,000 European-made electric vehicle orders, a surgical strike. This represented billions in lost revenue for Europe's top automakers. The automotive industry is the backbone of several European economies, especially Germany. By targeting EVs, China hit Europe's industrial heart and highlighted their mutual dependence. Domestically, China framed the move as defending national interests and supporting its own EV brands. The message to multinationals' market access to China is now conditional and politically risky. Business decisions can no longer ignore geopolitics. The canceled orders are more than lost sales. They're a warning that the rules of global business are changing. Companies must now factor in unpredictable political risks. The global business landscape is entering uncharted territory. The world is watching and recalibrating. The effects of China's decision rippled far beyond European carmakers. Stock prices of major automakers and suppliers plunged, reflecting deep investor anxiety. The move exposed the fragility of global supply chains, optimized for efficiency but vulnerable to political shocks. Companies are now rethinking strategies, considering more resilient though costlier supply chains and even reshoring production. The dispute also threatens the supply of critical minerals like lithium and cobalt, which China dominates. Any escalation could disrupt global EV production and spike commodity prices, slowing the green transition. The chilling effect on international investment is real. Businesses are pausing to reassess political risks. Less investment means slower growth and innovation worldwide. The EU-China standoff is forcing a global reckoning with the risks of economic interdependence. The fallout is immediate, but the consequences could last for years. The world economy is entering a more uncertain era. The global automotive industry is at the epicenter of this crisis. For European car makers, losing 150,000 EV orders is a painful blow. Factories may scale back, jobs are at risk, and forecasts are being revised. The crisis exposes Europe's deep dependence on the Chinese market. Both export strategies and local operations in China are now under threat. Chinese EV brands are rising fast, outpacing European rivals in key technologies. European automakers must rethink their China strategy, diversify markets, and double down on innovation. The era of easy growth in China is over. Intense, politically charged competition has begun. Global automakers are watching. Some see warning, others see opportunity. The industry must adapt to a world where geopolitics can reshape competition overnight. Peril and realignment are the new reality. The automotive sector's future will be defined by resilience and adaptability. The stakes have never been higher. For consumers, the impact of this trade war will be felt in prices, choices, and delays. The effects will ripple through every stage of the car buying process, from the moment you start researching a new vehicle to the day you finally drive it home. In the short term, European EVs may see discounts as manufacturers offload excess inventory. Dealerships might offer special promotions or incentives to clear out stock, creating a temporary window of opportunity for buyers looking for a bargain. But as supply chains are rebuilt and costs rise, prices will likely increase. The cost of sourcing parts and materials from new suppliers can drive up expenses, and these increases are often passed on to the consumer. Tariffs and trade barriers could make electric vehicles less affordable, slowing the shift away from gasoline. Higher import taxes and regulatory hurdles add to the final price tag, making it harder for many people to make the switch to cleaner cars. Consumer choice will shrink as companies focus on safer, more predictable markets. Automakers may pull back from riskier regions, leaving buyers with fewer models and less variety to choose from. European buyers may see fewer innovative Chinese EVs, while Chinese consumers lose access to European brands. The cross-pollination of ideas and technology between regions will slow, limiting what's available on both sides. Less competition means higher prices and slower innovation. Without the pressure to compete, companies may invest less in research and development, and consumers could see fewer breakthroughs in performance, safety, and design. Trade barriers also slow the rollout of new technologies, better batteries, smarter software, safer cars. The pace of progress in the industry could be dramatically reduced, affecting the vehicles of tomorrow. The global race for automotive innovation could stall. Countries and companies may fall behind as collaboration and competition are stifled by politics and protectionism. Consumers everywhere will wait longer for the next generation of vehicles. Delays in production and delivery will become more common, testing the patience of buyers eager for the latest models. The trade dispute is reshaping what's possible and what's available in the car market. The landscape is changing rapidly, and both buyers and sellers are being forced to adapt to a new reality. The consumer conundrum is just beginning. As the dust settles, buyers will have to navigate a market with fewer choices, higher prices, and more uncertainty than ever before. The EU-China conflict signals a larger trend, the fracturing of the globalized world. Distinct economic blocs are emerging, one led by the US and its allies, another by China and its partners. Each bloc is building its own supply chains, standards, and financial systems. Countries in the global south are caught in the middle, pressured to choose sides. The rules-based system of the World Trade Organization is weakening as major powers bypass global norms. Trade is becoming less predictable and more contentious. The era of open multilateral trade is fading. Power politics and economic blocs are the new reality. The world economy is fundamentally changing. Diplomatic relations between Brussels and Beijing have entered a deep freeze. Trust is shattered, and both sides are digging in. The EU must show resolve, while China expects its retaliation to be taken seriously. This creates a dangerous stalemate. Neither side wants to blink first. De-escalation will require skilled diplomacy and perhaps third-party mediation. The first step, lower the temperature and open back-channel talks. Progress may start with less contentious issues, slowly rebuilding trust. A return to the old status quo is unlikely. The disagreements run too deep. The best hope is a new, managed relationship. Competitive but cooperative where possible. Both sides must balance rivalry with the need to address global challenges. The partnership will be more guarded, reflecting a complicated world. The path forward is uncertain, but dialogue remains essential. Both the EU and China must now rethink their long-term strategies. For Europe, this is a wake-up call to build economic resilience and reduce critical dependencies. Investment in domestic manufacturing and alliances with trusted partners will be key. Friendshoring, shifting supply chains to allied nations, will strengthen economic security. For China, the focus will be on self-sufficiency and accelerating domestic innovation. The goal, insulate the economy from foreign pressure and sanctions. The era ahead will be defined by managed competition, not open markets. Companies and governments must be agile and adaptable. Economic efficiency is giving way to economic security. The EV order cancellation is a landmark event, signaling a lasting shift in the global economy. The world is entering a new, more fractured era.